Hey guys, thanks for clicking in to watch this two-tier cake. It's going to be gold drip with some gold leaf and some spheres on top. So hang in there and let's get to the end. Right now I'm just going to glue this first layer as a 10-inch vanilla cake. I'm going to glue it down to the board with a little bit of buttercream. If you want my buttercream icing recipe, it is amazing and it will be in a separate video on my channel. So go ahead and check that out. It works great. I live in Southwest Florida where it's very hot and it holds up really well in the heat. So I would go ahead and give that little video a look if you want a great buttercream recipe. So I'm just going to put this first layer on and give it a nice generous even coat of buttercream into the middle of this tier. Okay, go ahead and stack that second layer on. These are 2-inch layers, so the whole thing will be just over 4 inches tall. A little, probably 4.5, just a little bit more with all the buttercream in there. And that's the bottom tier. So you're going to want to put a thin coat. This is the crumb coat that we're going to put on before the final coat. So just put a thin layer of the buttercream all the way around and on the top of the cake. And make sure you get it really, really thin. This is just to seal in all the crumbs. And then we're going to let it sit in the refrigerator for about 15 minutes while we do the top tier. The top tier is not going to be on a cake drum like the bottom tier is. This one will be on a cardboard plate made for cakes, obviously, but a lot less sturdy since this will be resting on the top tier. So I'm just going to glue this down again the same way as the top tier, and I'm going to crumb coat this one as well. And just refrigerate them for at least 15 minutes. Okay, it's been about 20 minutes. I'm going to pull the bottom tier out and leave the top tier in the refrigerator while I finish this one up. I'm going to put a generous coat, this final coat of buttercream on this one. So make sure when you put it on, it is even and smooth around all the sides. There's no bubbles. Try to get every crease out that you can. Take your time with it. You do sometimes have to fill in little spots that got scraped down or weren't perfect the first time. It does take several times. So I know this is sped up and it doesn't look like it, but I did take a good amount of time to get it perfect before I moved on to the second tier. both done and I'm refrigerating them again. I have cut 6 plastic dowels. They're very sturdy dowels, and I'm going to be placing them in the center of this bottom tier to support that top tier. So, one trick is to make sure that these dowels are definitely cut at exactly the same height. Otherwise, the top tier will not be sitting sturdy and level. It will be wiggling on the top, and you do not want that. So, my best advice is to make sure all of the dowels, no matter how many you're using, are cut at exactly the same size and place them evenly around the center underneath where that top tier will be sitting. I took an 8-inch cake board, the same size as the top tier, and I'm putting it on here and tracing around it so I know exactly where the gold drip will go. So that way there's not drip underneath the cake that's being wasted. It's just going to come up with that cardboard when they remove it. So you don't need to waste any ingredients. So I just want to know and exactly where that cake is going to sit when I'm ready to place it. It's a good way to know where to put it so you're not guessing on where to drop it on the top. So this is a good little hack for you. Anytime I have to paint the cake drip gold, I do purchase the cake drip. Generally, I always make my own ganache for any others. But when you paint it gold, this one in particular I get from Hobby Lobby, and when it's dry, it's very hard. That makes a great template, I guess you can call it, for the paint to go on. So the ganache isn't squishing or moving or anything. This goes into place, it stays in place no matter how much you have to paint the gold on. I really, really like this when you have to paint it gold. So I highly recommend buying this kind. Like I said, I get it at Hobby Lobby. It comes in different colors. They do have a gold one, but it's really not gold. It comes out more yellow. So I rather get the white that's going to match the buttercream and then go ahead and paint the gold on it. So you're just going to drip this all around in different lengths. I guess you would squeeze more if you want longer drips and squeeze less if you want shorter drips. And then once you go all the way around the cake with the drips that you like, you can add some more if you need to. And then I'm just going to fill in this area that I stenciled, I guess you could say. So that's the only part that's going to get the chocolate. There's not going to be any chocolate underneath the top tier. Like I said, it's just going to come up when they remove the board and it would all go in the garbage. So there's no reason to do that underneath that cake. So go ahead and put it all the way around, and then I'm going to take a knife and I'm going to just smooth it out on the top. Now I did add some sprinkles off camera to the top before the buttercream crusted over. I just wanted them to get stuck on there. And then I'm just going to go around these two edges to cover those, the creases where they come together. So I'm going to do a small shell border around the middle and then the bottom of the cake. I'm using edible gold dust and some vodka, and I'm just going to do a little bit at a time and just keep mixing it up a little bit at a time. You don't want to overuse it. This stuff is not cheap. So you just want to do as much as you need. So don't overmix anything, and you don't want it too watery. It almost has to be a perfect consistency. You'll know when you paint it on whether you need more powder or the vodka, and the vodka will dissipate and leave the gold on there. That's why I like using the vodka. You can also use lemon extract. The only reason I don't like that is because it does leave a lemon flavor to your mouth. Sorry about the lighting. The lighting is not very good right here. I already painted this top section before I went on camera, and then you're going to want to just go very slowly with a gentle hand. Take your time. I know it's tedious, but it's worth it in the end. Just keep mixing up more gold dust and vodka as much as you need, a little bit at a time so you don't waste any. Go around the whole cake. I did do 2 coats on this cake just because I wanted it nice and gold. I didn't want to see any white through it or any bare spots. So, like I said, just take your time, turn some music on, and get to painting. This gold leaf that I got this time is extremely strong. So if you want perfect sheets of gold leaf, I'll try to link it in the description of this one that I have because it did not work the way I really wanted it to. So I had to pull apart pieces on my own and just scatter them where I wanted them. So if you have a more brittle, I really wanted a more brittle effect where I could put it on the cake and kind of pull some off, but it did not work that way. So I had to improvise because I didn't have any other gold leaf on hand and the cake is due the next day. So I did pull little pieces off and I patted them down gently with a clean paintbrush that is made just for cakes. So make sure you don't use a paintbrush that was in paint. You don't want that on your buttercream. But go ahead and place your gold leaf around. It's time to set the chocolate spheres on the cake and we'll be just about done. So I dipped these into melting chocolate and I airbrushed the black ones black. I dipped them in milk chocolate, airbrushed them black. I dipped the white ones in white chocolate and I didn't do anything to those. And the gold ones I dipped in milk chocolate and then I finished them in gold dust. So these are not edible. These are chocolate dipped styrofoam balls in which there is a glued toothpick in the center of them to hold them in place on the cake.